What would you say, like, in the campaign and then a separate one for the multiplayer, has been your biggest kind of oh shit moment in the campaign or the multiplayer, the part that just blew you away when you first played it or first experienced it?
For me in the campaign, like the real first sort of oh shit moment had to been a play test a little while back before the game was finished. But we would take builds home at night to help with network testing and things like that. And I was playing a cooperative game on Legendary, the first mission of the game actually, Tiare Plaza, and um, my friend and I had just arrived at sort of the final plaza that mission takes place, and the hunters appeared. And it's the first time you'll actually encounter hunters in the campaign of ODST. And historically, hunters, they look really cool, but by the time we got to Halo 3, Master Chief could pretty much just roll through them without much of a fight. And the first time we encountered these guys, it was truly terrifying, and they kicked the crap out of us to a point where we finally respawned. We fell back inside one of the buildings and sort of holed up in a room, and we're talking over our headsets, like, okay, what are we going to do? We don't have a lot of ammo. We need to try to flank them. And I had literally had just said, "Hey, they can't come inside the buildings, can they?" And not a second later, right in the doorway, this 7.5 foot tall, just behemoth of a hunter comes crushing into the room, and we had no way out. And I remember he screamed into his mic, and maybe somebody might have soiled themselves even. I'm not quite sure, but it was very intense, and I don't know. That kind of for me just really drove home the message that this is a different feel of combat, and that these ODSTs are just a lot more intense, and you really have to be a lot more methodical about how and when and where you tackle a problem. And it's pretty cool. Just in general, there have been some targeted tweaks to the AI in the game, so it just seems like they work a little bit better in groups. They're a little more aggressive. They actually tend to take cover more often than they would in Halo 3. Again, all of that I think just leads to just a more intense encounter when it comes time to fight.
And what about the multiplayer or firefight?
Yeah, on the multiplayer side, honestly, I've played a lot of Firefight over the past few months. I would have to say today was probably my biggest oh shit moment, because we came in this morning and we decided that with some of the other people that were here that we would play one game just to sort of warm up, if you will, and before people would resume their campaign play. And basically 110 minutes later, we finally ended our game. On Lost Platoon, we scored like 1.4 million points, but I've never had a game go that long before. I've never seen the types of things that happen through that game, and just every possible amazing close call, awesome vehicular, chopper flying through the air and landing just right to escape a certain death explosion. We just seem to have everything working perfectly for us, and that was, to me, that was pretty amazing. I just wish we were on Xbox Live so I could have gotten the VidMaster achievement while we were at it.
What finally brought you down?
Um, so eventually, just so many skulls were turned on. We had all but one skull turned on by the time we hit the fourth set, that it just finally just started chipping away at us. My tactic was to hang out up on the roof and use a laser and a sniper and sort of take out the wraiths the second they drop. But eventually, once something like Mythics turned on, which doubles the health of all the enemies, or something like Tilt turns on, which makes anything with a shield basically become immune to bullets, that suddenly meant that now it took me 2 shots to kill a Wraith on my laser, and that Warthog turret that we had been dominating the map with couldn't even kill a Brute at that point. So we just finally got overwhelmed by the skulls, and our lives finally dwindled, and it was game over.
So obviously, firefight. Some comparisons are going to be made between firefight and the horde mode in Gears 2 and the zombie mode in Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
World at War. What sets firefight apart? Obviously, you've gone a little bit into that with skulls, but what else makes it unique and a new experience for players?
Sure. I mean, yeah, the underlying premise of Firefight is definitely similar to a lot of other games. I mean, even Left 4 Dead survival mode, at the heart of it is very similar. I think for us, right from the beginning, it was really important that it was a truly cooperative experience, and I think having a shared pool of lives is something that's a little bit different, that really forces players to have to work together. And if just one guy goes off and tries to go Rambo, it's going to hurt your entire team. Beyond that, every wave of Covenant that comes in is random, so you never really know if you're going to get a bunch of grunts one time, maybe some hunters, maybe all of a sudden there's going to be some wraiths. So it's never too predictable. If you add in the skulls on top of that, they do activate in a fixed progression, but the way that they impact the gameplay is pretty significant. When something like Mythic or Tilt turns on, it really makes you have to change the way you're playing and go out of your way to find that plasma weapon now because your pistol is useless. I think all those things together just foster just a real sense of cooperation and really dynamically having to adjust what you're doing on the fly with every new wave because you're never quite sure what's going to happen next.